Time production, summertime fine. She got a pretty mind, a Howard alumni. Here to talk about what's going on and why throughout every season. Winter, fall, summer.
Okay, let's get started because I have so many questions.
Oh, that's what journalism interviewers do. Okay, go ahead then.
Okay.
What are the rules of your universe?
No rules.
Oh, okay, good.
Because guess what? I own this show. So whatever we want, we do at any moment.
Unbought, and unbossed.
Period. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Summertime. I'm your host, Sommer Hill, and today I'm here with Mama KoKo, which I am so honored. I know I keep saying, but I am. And I like to tell everyone how I learned about my next guest. So let me tell everyone how I learned about you. So I, watching Netflix as always, and In Our Mother's Garden popped up, and I was like, this title sounds familiar because of the book. And I was like, let's check this out. So I watched it, and what I kept doing was rewinding and watching your part. So then I started sharing. I said, Mom, I called my mom, I'm like, you have to watch this. I showed her, I said, but most importantly, you got to see Mama KoKo. So I'm watching this with everyone, my friends, my family, and then it hit me. My close friend said, I think I know why you like watching it. I was like, why? And they're like, because that's you in the future. I said, oh, I am honored to hear that. So thank you. You were at the top of my list of people that I wanted to talk to.
Wow. What a great introduction.
Yes. I didn't know you lived here. I thought you were in LA.
Yeah, I got a Baltimore man.
I know that's right.
I know we in the DMV, and the DMV in Baltimore is not the DMV by choice.
Yeah. But
I got a Baltimore man.
I know that's right. Okay, we got to get into it. I need to hear the whole entire story, like from front to back. But I know time is limited.
Wait. I just happened to have
what you got?
The first couple of pages of, want to read this first line.
Okay.
Caravan, the amazing adventures of a Negro girl from Compton. Caravan describes like these 16 travel stories that I like to tell people, like who I am and what I'm doing and all of those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But I was born in a border town. Eight miles from the Mexican border. Chula Vista, California. A place where palm trees nod in the noon wind, nourished by the San Diego Bay, where dolphins leap above the white-capped waves. That's it.
Wow. So this is a book you've written?
Yes, it's called, it's called Caravan, and it's 16 travel stories that narrate my journey as a young girl from Compton and the adventures that I've had all over the world that are not adjacent to Compton, but I carry Compton with me. So I'm totally branded Compton author. Everything for me says Compton, or everything, because I'm a writer and I'm from Compton.
So, I know that's right. And I love in your bio, it's like Cairo to Compton, Addis to Atlanta.
Places, those are all my spaces, Atlanta.
How did you get this like inspiration to travel? Where did that come from?
Needing to get away.
I know that. And
needed to get away. And I mean, it's like traveling, whether it's hitchhiking. I was a hitchhiker. That's how I met my first husband. Just being on the road with a thumb out and a place to go.
No way.
I hitchhiked all the way from Compton to New York to the Bronx on a tomato truck that was carrying, I don't know how many pounds of tomatoes, trying to get to Boston before they turned into tomato paste, fresh tomatoes. We went from Compton to Barstow to get the tomatoes and making across the country. We stopped in on the way. I think one of our stops was through Missouri.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was through Missouri. Yeah, but anyway, I've been a hitchhiker and a traveler, trying to take the reins of my own life, for me to tell myself what I could be different than my environment. And one of the stories I tell is my father taking us to the library once a week to exchange books, and so we could have all kind of worlds that we could have access to, but also going to the end of the runway at Los Angeles International Airport to watch the planes take off. And my father used to have us narrate what who was on the plane and what we were doing, what we were on the plane doing, where we were going, what we were going to say, how, we had the whole mannerism of that's us on that plane. My father used to take us to stand in front of Grumman's Chinese, where the Academy Awards were always held, and we'd be standing outside on the pavement, and here comes Lana Turner, and then whatever white movie star, and we would be like, oh look, she has on a tiara. I'm gonna get one too. So we would just be in an imaginative world because my father smoked marijuana incessantly, and he was a poet who had 7 children, who loved gambling. He just wasn't any good at it. So we always were in the imaginative world, imagining that we had Christmas gifts when his horses didn't come in, but it didn't matter because we had money to buy a piece of felt that had all of the things like the crap table. So for that Christmas, he taught us all how to shoot craps.
Oh,
And
wow.
we had the felt instead of food on the table, we had a crap table felt, and we were all shooting craps, knowing how to. First you got to talk to them, then you got to blow on them, and then you got to release them, and then you got to do a snap. Like there was a whole thing. Who daddy teaches them CeeLo for push-ups? Who do that? Where they do that at?
Right. So how much of the imaginations did you manifest to real life? Because then you started traveling.
Okay. So I think my first traveling is just going around, getting in the car, filling up my 1964 Chevy Impala. I got my license in Compton when I was 16, and I was the first one to drive. So everybody would get in my hoopty. That's what we used to call it. Now it's the whip now. They changed the name. But we get in my hoopty and we ride out. I'd have $1. I could put 2 gallons of gas at 25 cents a gallon in the car.
Oh my
Get a
gosh.
package of cool extra longs for 25 cents, and then have 25 cents for a taco at Del Rey, at the taco stand. So we used to just be riding out, but we would ride out from Compton. I guess it'd be like how when people in Brooklyn say we're going to the city, they mean Manhattan, they're going uptown or somewhere or downtown. So we would just be going to LA, and I would be the driver driving from Compton all the way to Crenshaw and Slauson and over there by Crenshaw High School and those places, and everybody's cars, like the movies, was all the cars would be lined up. I had my little raggedy hoopty. I didn't have hydraulics going. Wasn't going on, but I was all into wanting to see those kind of lights in action. And then my grandfather had the biggest poker game in Los Angeles. He lived off of Slauson and 2nd Avenue. And my grandfather had all of the movie stars. They had every last movie star they had. They had Eddie Rochester Anderson, Willie Best, Willie Strode, Mantan Moreland, Louise Beavers, Hattie McDaniel, Mahalia Jackson's where we got our red beans and rice recipe from. She didn't have no money, and she threw it in the pot as her auntie, and that's how we got our red beans and rice recipe. And we serve it at Mama KoKo's.
Oh, really?
100
I love
East
that.
23rd Street at the intersection of St. Paul. Commercial break. Yes.
I'm going to have to go there. I would love to visit
we
there.
serve craft cocktails. The bartender, the lead mixologist is from Paris.
Okay.
We ain't spare any. They over there juicing, slicing, dicing, putting bananas in the sous vide to
Okay.
make the elixirs. This is not 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 poor. That's a Negro in the back of the truck at a tailgate. No, this is a mixology
Yes, the
thing.
real deal.
It's the real deal, Holyfield.
Okay, I'm gonna go. It sounds like, and this is what someone told me before, so I'm just going to say it to you because this is what it sounds like. But it sounds like from your childhood, there's a reservoir of joy that you can pull from and that you do to this day. Because as you're telling these stories, like you seem so joyful about your experiences.
I am. There were the card that I pulled this morning. My mother. I used to get a card from. I don't get a card from my mother every day, but she was to. I got a card from her today, and the card said, I did a Hail Mary and did it, cross myself, everything. I support myself in making right choices for me. And it's about learning and growing. And it says, I am incredibly capable whenever I encounter a challenge in my life. I use the experience to learn and grow. So, as an adventurer, that means a person that ventures from the Latin, which means to come, veni, veni, veni. To go to hear the call of an adventure, that you're doing something else different. Like, I don't want to be like Superman, but I always think of myself like Superwoman when Clark Kent came home and told his mother, hey, Mom, today, Mom, I'm not like the other boys. Hey, what do you mean, Clark? Well, when Jimmy and I were playing and the ball went behind this big rock, I saw the ball. That's nice, Clark. Well, no, Mom. I saw through the rock. I saw the ball through the rock. Okay, Clark, I want to tell you that you really are Jael and you come from another planet, Krypton. And so then you get this whole revelation. You're not like the other girls because I'm the one that could feel the earthquake when it was only 1.1 on the Richter scale and the whole bed would be shaking like that for me. And I was like, Ma, they had an earthquake. They had no earthquake. They didn't say nothing about it on the TV. And then sometime, like in the 20th thing on the news, a mild earthquake was felt in the Los Angeles basin. So I would know things, do things, say things. And my mother told me later on, she said, I was always afraid of you. You were such a weird child. My mother used to just tell me, go get my purse and go take a tranquilizer. You too got too much going on. Give me one too. Take a half. Don't take a whole one. Go get no, not the Valium. Get the Librium out the bed. You go sit down somewhere. So I was an insomniac. They let me stay up at night. They let me have a bright light because things would be moving and it would be a whole room filled with 1 million people. And I would just be sitting in the bed like I was in a gallery. So I always had that special, like my grandmother and my great-grandmother and my mother, we had a gift of sight, of clairaudience, clairvoyance, clear anything. So I wasn't like the other girls. So in 9th grade, I took French. I didn't take Spanish, although 40% of the population of Compton is Spanish. 40% of all of California, 60% speaks Spanish. I took French. And I remember one day my best friend from 2nd grade, Maureen Dejean, she asked me, who are you gonna talk French to? Ain't nobody talk, we just speak Creole and a little broken French. Who you gonna be talking French to? I said, I'm gonna be in Africa. I'm gonna be somewhere where the people where they got Black people that speak in French. I'm gonna be in Martinique. I'm gonna be in Haiti. I'm gonna be somewhere talking to somebody about something about doing, It was like, oh my God. So I was always an odd girl.
I can relate.
Yeah, but I was an odd girl.
But now, people don't consider you odd. What do they consider you now?
Bizarre.
How do you feel about that?
I've elevated myself. I love it. Not in the sense of, it's just like I gotta tell you a story about my Abel Vasquez, Abel, like in the Bible, Abel. Abel Vasquez, Vazquez. He is a painter from Oaxaca, Mexico. And I trained with him for a month. And most of the time, he had me painting blindfolded,
Mm.
meaning that I would just be sitting there. The canvas would be taped to the surface. I have a pit bull at my foot named Flea, but the Spanish word for flea. And I would be blindfolded, and then he would just change out the brushes.
Mm.
He would just change the brushes out of my hand, and I would go brown, and he would put I said, brown small brush, and then I would just have a whole painting when I was finished. And the paintings were beautiful. And he used to tell his people that he has other art classes, and they were reliant on the eye. He said, art is really inside of you.
Mhm.
It's the external that messes it up. It makes you judgmental about it. And even when I told him I didn't like pink, I detested pink. I didn't like pink because of its unboldness, just to be all the way red. If it could be,
Mm.
it could be more intense, it would be red. Or if it could mix with others, it could be magenta. And I just didn't think pink was a good color. So one of the times he snuck a pink paint in my brush, I would have never called for it. Rose in Spanish, I would have never called for it. So on the bottom of one of my paintings, it's all pink.
And did you like it?
Not really. So the painting was like this way. I painted it a certain way. I turned it the other way.
Mm.
So pink did not have its prominence. I love
Mm.
alliteration. Pink did not have its prominence.
Oh, I like that.
Me too.
So, okay, but if I were, I mean, I know I don't know you very well yet, but I would describe you as fearless. And I want to know.
Oh, yes. You
where
have
that
to be intrepid. When you're traveling in a world constructed by men, patriarchy, capitalism, colonialism, genocide, to travel as a woman alone, you better understand something about yourself.
Like what?
You have to create a calculus of the self. This is the math rules in my world. And they always start out, this is my Compton heritage.
Mhm.
I wish a nigga would. When
Okay.
all fails, yes, the N word was said. But you know what? You're probably too young to remember the first time they used the term, the N word. Me and Dick Gregory used to have conversations about this. We said we wish we would say the N word.
Mm.
I love his first autobiography. It was called Nigger, Nigger.
Mm.
It was during the OJ trial when Mark Furman had used it over 1,000 times in transcripts of 9 hours. He had said, nigga this, nigga that, nigga need a brand new hat. And they were like, oh my God, we're not using that word anymore because it's so hateful. And so we're not going to use it. And I said, oh, good. Some white folks can't do. Nigga is my favorite word now. That I can have something on my own that you can't have. Nigga, nigga, nigga. I just wrote a poem called it. Only got one. I wrote a poem on Sandra Bland that only had one vowel sound. It was a 10 stanza poem that only used the vowels that was in her name, Sandra Bland, the short A sound. It was a univocal poem called Chant Sandra Bland. But anyway, I always wanted to be fearless because if you're out on the road, one of the things you can't ever exhibit as a girl child is fear of anything. So I wrote my dissertation on, it's called Ancestral Presence and Epic Fulfillment in Toni Morrison's Beloved and Sula. And I was enamored with the eponymous character Sula, who cut off her own finger when she was confronted by a mob of white boys. And she sliced off, she took a knife off and took a knife out and cut her finger and said, if I do this to myself, just what you think I do to you. And the boys ran down the street. Being weird, being bizarre, being different than the other people keeps a lot of people off of you.
True.
I've gotten so many rewards from being myself and being authentic. Somebody asked the Zen master, what is the strongest emotion? So we always say fear and love are the two strong emotions. But the Zen master said, no, authenticity is the strongest
Mhm.
because it says that you're fearless, that you're unapologetically the self that you've collected in all of your lifetimes to be, and you're not auditioning to be on the stage of somebody else's acceptance. I
I
just
love
made
that.
that up.
Oh, I love
Yeah, but
that.
it sounds good.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
really good.
It
But
sounds good.
it
It
does.
sounds like bars. It sounds like Kendrick Lamar got bars. I'm not TDE, but I've been with me. Oh yes. Shout out to Top Dog Entertainment.
Yeah, no,
Shout
that
out to
that was
Compton.
really good. And I think too, I wonder how much of, because I know you said you come from cussing women.
Yeah.
And I like that because I do too. And
Have
it's
to.
you have to, right? But in a place where they want us to be dainty and light women, you know, girly girls, soft girls.
Oh, I've never seen a woman like that. My
Mm.
mother was the matriarch and the matriline. Her mother was the matriarch, matriline. Her mother before then. And we've gone all the way back to 1770. Every woman before them. These are Hausa women. And Hausa are the women of all the northerns, from East Lake Chad. The Hausa people are the largest group of people in all of Africa. Their language, Hausa, this is very important to me as someone that thinks of myself as eloquent, loquacious, and verbose, and got the gift of gab. That Hausa means not only people, it's the word for language, and it's not only the language, it is the word for language. You know, it's the whole word that means any verbal thing out your mouth is called Hausa, no matter what you're speaking. It's language. And so those are the women I come from. So these are strong, sturdy women. My mother was an only child and lonely, so she had 7 children, so she had somebody to play with.
Mm-hmm.
My mother did concierge services for people, making sandwiches. Mayonnaise, mustard, no mayonnaise. Mayonnaise one side of the bread, mustard on the other side. And she had it all in her head. And my mother's memorial rosary, the guy who did her makeup and hair, who was one of the people she played bridge with sometime, he said, I don't know if you know your mother. He said, those of you gathered here, I don't know if you know that Marcy, my mother's name is Marcelite, but everybody called her Marcy, that only 1/2 of 1% of all people who play bridge in the entire world has as many points as your mother in the entire whole
Wow,
world.
she was good.
My mother could remember a hand from 1963. He opened, we were sitting north, south, east open, 1 diamond, 2 spade, double, 3 club. My mother would just play the whole hand over again like she was sitting there. And so she became the only Black woman in all of Orange County, Lily White, North America, California, to own her own bridge club. She was a director. Anybody need a ruling? Marcy, there's a problem on the floor. My mother, hold on. According to the contract. So she was like a bridge
Wow.
lawyer. But my grandfather was the first Black person in the American Bridge League, and he ran the biggest poker game on Friday nights in West Los Angeles. And we're cardologists, women who read cards. So we come from a whole line of people that are doing things different, and we're like pioneer people because we come to California in the migration from Louisiana, looking, that's how you all get from St. Louis, from the Mississippi and Louisiana, looking for that place where you can be yourself and to be authentic, because people have chased you out of Louisiana after Reconstruction, because they want you to go back on the sugar cane plantations. So you're always running. So when we run to the West Coast and we have the Pacific Ocean up our back, there's no other place to run. You'll either be in Hawaii or Japan, whichever one comes first. I don't know. I've never looked that far. I've always headed east. So I've always been heading east. So whether I'm hitchhiking or either I joined the Army and I was
tell
stationed.
me about that.
Yeah, I was stationed.
How does that align with who you are?
That's called, I have 4 planets in Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury. I have my moon in my 8th house of other people's money. How am I going to finish my education? I have an AA degree from Compton Community College. Shout out Compton Community College. Me and Kevin Costner were colleagues. We both graduated Compton College together in 1974. And we both graduated Cal State University, Fullerton in 1978. Just want to shout out to Kevin Costner. But anyway, Compton. So I had all of these ideas and then trying to figure out the next part of how I'm going to finance my education. And I'm watching TV and it said, oh, we'll pay for your education. Okay. How long you got to serve? 2 years? You could do a bid. You could do a bid for 2 years.
So what'd you have to do?
Well, went to the military, trained as a 91 V20.
What's that?
A basic combat medical specialist.
Okay.
I was the first group of women at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, because the Women's Army Corps had, during Vietnam and the times before that, they were initiated, indoctrinated, did your basic training at Fort McClellan, one of those, Confederate generals, McClellan, Alabama. And they said, no, you're going to Fort Jackson, the other Confederates, you're going to that. So I did my basic training there, and I did my advanced infantry, my AIT advanced training at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, where the Air Force Base Lackland was. So I did my training there. And then I was stationed in a hospital in downtown Denver, Colorado. I didn't get too far. I skipped a part. Me in Paris at 19. Okay, running the streets, going down the Champs-Élysées, walking down the L'Arc de Triomphe, just doing all of those so wild things, hitchhiking from Brussels, Belgium, with my ex-husband, who was a married man, married to a white woman named Peggy Sue. This is going to go real fast. It's going to sound like hip-hop. It's going to sound like bars. He was married to a lady named Peggy Sue, who used to be the lead singer in a rockabilly band who was real popular in Juneau, Alaska.
Okay.
But I digress. But anyway, I had already run around Europe with him for a couple of months when I was 19. So I had already been across the pond, as they say. So
Well,
I
how
didn't
was
get
it
far.
being bizarre in serving? Like, there's not room for that.
No, there really isn't room for that. I'm so glad you brought it up. My first acting job, because I've been in 3 movies. I was nominated for the movie Tea by Keisha Witherspoon. This documentary that Chantrell did, I had already been to Sundance and been feted for, I love your work in Tea. I've already been out there in the world. But anyway, I always was ready to be my authentic self. So when a white woman asked me to lotion her feet, I was working on a women's surgical ward at Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center on the 4th floor. Captain Karen Waxdale was my captain, but Sergeant Irby, the brother, was the sergeant. And so Black people always looked out after each other in the early 70s, 60s. We was all in the struggle. We all knew who we were. because even in the military, we all dressed in the Black Panther kind of
Okay.
berets. You had to buy those extra for $30 at the PX, but you didn't want to wear the other one because if you was Black, you wanted to have that beret on. So while I was in basic training, I wasn't really with the program. This is going to sound horrible, but I would do anything to get out of doing duties. And this is before the Me Too movement. So if it means breaking off a slice of that Kit Kat bar for your drill sergeant who is in love with being in love with you, and you don't have to go on that 23-mile bivouac hike, and you can stay where it's warm and tend to the fire in the tent while the rest of them go out with 30 pounds on their back, including their M16 on their arm. Yes, you heard it first.
You gonna break off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
The bar was broken.
So
I'm just saying,
okay.
I'm trying to keep it real.
No, I
here
appreciate it.
because I don't have anything to hide because I already saw it myself. Hey, who I'm afraid? Oh, how you feel about me? Oh, you're not going to invite me to your afternoon tea with your little young debutante girls with white gloves and pearls? Thanks.
How does your husband feel about these stories?
What he could do? He one of them. That's so crazy. Woo!
He's a part of the story.
Okay, so go to 1978 now.
Okay.
I got a almost 2-year-old son. I'm married to the man that used to be married to Peggy Sue. That I married him even though he had me dangling out of a window in Rome because of the twins, Hassan and Hussein, that I was hanging out with in Rome.
Oh, he was feeling a little possessive.
Yeah, there's 2 Somalian twins I met at the Somalian movie stars premiere in Rome. Keep in mind I'm 19, okay? But anyway, so I could do Hussein and Hassan and Hassan and all of them. But anyway.
It's a judgment-free zone.
It is. You got it, use it, work it. But anyway, so I had married him. So meanwhile, I was married to him and had a 2-year-old son, and we had gone through the army together, and I did the best I could. I quit my job in the army after I told the lady I wasn't gonna do her feet. And I was like, slavery days are over. That's my favorite line I used to say to everybody. I said it in the 10th grade to the white librarian at my little Black school in Compton when she said something to me, and I said, slavery days is over. It must have been a theme with me. And I must have been that maroon that said it all the time. I'm gonna digress. When I got my creative writing degree, MFA, from the University of Baltimore when I was 60, my thesis book, somebody said, well, my thesis advisor said, hey, do you notice that every time there's a white man in one of your stories, he like dies? I was like, yes. Oh, okay. So my first story, I had burnt the plantation up, the person and they ran away and and they was running naked, okay? But anyway, I just told the people that I couldn't work at that kind of job anymore where I had to do subservient things. I was from Compton, and I come from proud women, and we don't do other people's feet.
Right.
This is what we don't do, especially, and I told her, I said, oh, you had a pass to leave the ward. You felt well enough to go to the PX, the commissary, and to the movies, and now you gonna bring your white self back here and point at your feet like they got something to do with me, and here's the bottle of lotion my feet, gal. I'm gonna do like y'all. I'm getting a sick headache. Sergeant Irby, I'll be leaving for the day. I have a headache, and I never came back.
Wow.
They said, well, how do you quit a job in the U.S. Army? Well,
like that.
They take you to the first line. They take you to the social worker. They say, well, this is really not possible. You don't really leave a job. Oh, okay. Then they take you to the psychiatric social worker, and they say, no, I'm not doing that. This is what I'm not doing. Then they send you to the psychiatrist. Captain Golightly, may your name live forever. She was the first Black, dark-skinned, chocolate, ebony drop, homecoming queen at Jackson State College at the time. And when they sent me to see the psychiatrist, Dr. M.D. Golightly, she said, yeah, I don't blame you. No, you don't have to go back there. That's fine. She said, I always see you on posts and you always have your head wrapped in a gele. I never learned how to wrap mine. Could you just come and see me once a week and we can talk about things and you could teach me how to wrap my hair in different styles? So after 3 visits and 2 months off deciding what I wanted to do, I got a gig teaching people how to macrame and weave in the occupational therapy. And so I just taught people how to weave and macrame. And that's how I spent my time until it was time for me to get out the Army. And I got an honorable discharge. I had the nicest people that worked with me. Even the little white lady, Captain Dottie, she was from Fargo, North Dakota. She goes, I'd love to have you over to make cookies. I said, wow, I've never made Christmas cookies. We was always trying to figure out if we was going to eat. Told you about my father and the gambling. So I made Christmas cookies and I got along with you know what I did? I got along with the people that treated me with humanity. Anybody that wanted to dog me or mistreat me, I ran away. So getting back to this husband right here, I was at that point with my first husband. I had gone between hate and disgust to that sacred space of indifference, not invested with any emotion. And I was sitting at the bar after a Cal State Fullerton basketball game. Go Titans. They will always win in the basketball game. And this one over here, that's me pointing to my husband, came up and said something slick out his mouth like, you gonna be my wife.
Okay, so he knew.
Gangster. I was like, Negro, please. I said, that's my husband over there. And then he said, what that got to do with me? I said, oh shit, right. Baltimore, that's how y'all do? And that's what Baltimore's about? I was like, yeah. So I left my husband on a Tuesday, got with a Wednesday man, and then had a date with him on a Thursday. And that was 46 years ago. Hey, baby.
They don't make them like that anymore, let me tell
you. He's
a
good man, Savannah. Savannah, he's a good man.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was like on X and next.
So how many years has it been?
Just 46.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the secret?
Because I'm the thuggish, ruggish bone. I'm fishbone, wishbone. I'm all
Lucky
of them.
bone.
I'm every woman. She's all in me. Yeah.
Yes.
And then he always said, well, you know I'm an LCSW. You know I'm a licensed clinical social worker. You've been my long-term whatever. Just keep that money and keep that mortgage paid. I make these money moves.
Period. And do.
Yeah. Oh, hey, baby, I didn't see you sitting there. Okay.
Tell me what it means to come from hoodoo believers in New Orleans. I like that you put that in there.
Everything can be scary for them. Like, everything is extra. Oh, like most people just say things, don't step on a crack.
Break your
mama's back. No, not my people. Hoodoo people say things like, you know, you could go down in that crack somewhere and be taken to that in-between place. Huh? The in-between place? Where is that? That's a place that's neither here nor there. So you don't care, because if you're mad at your mama, you want to break her back. You right. I'm stepping on this crack today.
Right.
Yeah, because my mama said something slick. I'm going to break her back. No, it'd be like, you don't want to step on no crack because you don't want to go down to that in-between place. So that's what it is. Like, or you study for your spelling test or your geography test all night long, and your mama tell you ain't nobody leaving the house today. So that thing like on Eve's Bayou is real. When mother said, you're not leaving the house today, something bad's going to happen. That could be my mother any given day. If the sky looked a little wonky, or if she'd heard some birds she had never heard before, and she's staring out the window, everybody be right here with us. And we sit there and play jacks and we just do whatever we do, and then we go back to school the next day. Nothing happened, and then she would feel safe and secure. My mother was also in the Yoruba tradition with me.
Yeah, because you're a
Yeah,
priest, right?
yeah, I
What does
have.
that mean?
Well, it means that I've been initiated to the priests, the people that help people to heal themselves in that
Mm,
tradition. My junior sister, we're all, because it's heritage and bloodline and matriline. My mother, my grandmother, they all practice hoodoo,
mm-hmm,
and so they weren't involved with Orisha worship,
mm,
but they were, all of us were devoted to Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is the patron saint, the Mayan deity, the patron saint of Mexico. And it just so happened that when I did get initiated, even though I was dedicated to Our Lady of Guadalupe, whose feast day is December 12th, it just so happened the day I was initiated without me choosing any date was December 12th,
oh, wow.
which was really the pact, because I used to do novenas. I was a little girl, I was a spiritual little girl that would organize people. Let's get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go and be ready at 6. And we're going to walk, and it would still be dark in Compton. And we would walk all the way to St. Albert's Church, where the doors were always open, and we would go and do a novena for Our Lady of Guadalupe for like 6 weeks. If I said we're going to do this for 6 weeks, and this is going to help all the starving children. So we always had something that we were doing for something to help people. Oh, let's put our money in here. There's a hurricane in New Orleans. Because and that was the other part. We had nuns from New Orleans, Louisiana. We brought them up there when I was in the second grade. That was 1959. No, that was 1960. We brought them there, and so they were our nuns, and they were from New Orleans, and they were hoodoo people and voodoo people, and Catholicism always allowed you to have shrines and
Mm-hmm.
statues and candles and crosses, and you were always crossing yourself and doing things in some kind of ritualistic way. And ritual is a way to harness spiritual energy. So we were always alert to everything. We knew when the moon was full. When the moon was a certain way, my father would take us at 3 o'clock in the morning. He would go in the kitchen and get a spatula and beat on a pan and say, "The grunion are running," and we all would get up, get dressed real quick, and then run into some clothes. And we would pile in the car and drive down Redondo Beach Boulevard till we got to Redondo Beach, and then we would pick up all the fish in our little pails that would still be flapping around because the tide would have brought them in, and we knew that they were going to be there and we could eat. And my father would clean those fish,
Mm.
stay up all night, make fish gravy and grits. My father was my primary caretaker. The women taught me how to be wild. My father taught me how to dream.
Mm.
And I was born on my father's birthday, January
Oh.
5th. And we were born 20 years apart. And we both were born in one something in the afternoon. And so we were karmically linked. And so when my father died, I was trying to write this book. I had a book deal with the University Press of Florida for a scholarly book looking at all of the essays of Toni Morrison. And I went to Tanzania. I was going to go to Tanzania for 6 weeks, and Addis Ababa for another 6 weeks. And my father was terminally ill. He said he caught a case of everything you could catch a
Mm.
case of. And I said, "Well, Daddy, I can't go now." And he said, and this is my father's words. My father said, "Lots of niggas done died in our
Oh.
family, but ain't nobody ever wrote no book."
Mm.
So he said, "Go and write this book." I get there on June 28th, and while he died, June 29th, my
Oh,
mother
man.
called me and said, "Ooh, thank you for being there to catch Daddy, because he ain't had nobody. We don't know nobody over there. You was over there."
Mm.
So we planted a tree, and there's a big tree in Arusha, Tanzania. And then since my mother's passed, we planted a tree and had a ceremony, a libation ceremony, and planted her tree next to his tree. So they're growing together facing Mount
Oh.
Meru this way and Mount Kilimanjaro this way. And on any given day, their trees can look out into those mountains. So we had different kind of beliefs, getting back to the hoodoo and whatever.
Mhm.
We had different kind of beliefs. We believed that when you die, you didn't go to heaven. We didn't have the heaven like the people. You went to Africa. You
Mm.
went back to home. You go across the water from where they took you from, and that's called Guinan. So my company is called Guinan Enterprises.
Mm.
Guinan means heaven. Guinan means Africa. It's the creolization of the word Guinea, like the Gulf of Guinea, that whole corner of Africa till you get to the Bight of Benin is called Guinea. So like all of Africa is Guinan. And
Mm.
so that's where they believed you would go to.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So since you're clairaudient, do you still hear your parents?
Regular chatterbox.
So what do they think about how you've actualized your dreams now? Since
Oh, my daddy is he is happy as a pig in slop because my father introduced me to a literate world, and I write books and I say things and I do things and I go places. In fact, where's my little secret bag of tricks?
the blue one?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
I was just the other day. How many of y'all have a dresser in your house and you keep different things on your dresser?
Yes.
How about for the first time, I noticed this thing said, letter from my father.
Oh.
And I looked in here, and it was a letter from my father.
Oh man.
And he has the most beautiful printing and handwriting. And it's dated September 10th, 1986.
Wow.
And this is the part I want to read you.
Please.
So that you can, so now he's not here anymore. And he says, uh, okay, your vacation, your vacation sounded like it was out of sight. Can't wait to travel like that. 2 years, 3 months to go, then I will be free. Thank God Almighty, free at last. I'm going to hold you to all your promises about Africa. This sustains me in my everyday existence.
Mm.
Um, trying to figure out, so and so and so. I'm going back to writing. Okay, have um, gone back to writing out of desperation, but I still have this feeling of failure about my ability to please anyone but me with my work. I would really like to do your life. I just think everyone finds it so fascinating up to this point in time. For a kid from Chula Vista, California, you have come a long way. What do you think?
Wow.
So that's what my father thought about me.
Wow. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that you have that, that's so affirming.
Yeah.
Like you can always look back at that.
Yeah.
And since you are such a fascinating person, I'm sure there's always
Really?
people who want to be in your space and feel your energy and be around you and be close to you. How do you manage all of that?
Well, it's like every vibe. Like if I'm a vibe, it's because it's all the vibes that's around me, or all the vibes that I've been in contact with, and all of my different. Like this card says, I use the experience, and I look at this picture right here. This is my teacher. This is my herbalist teacher. The not Sangoma is the woman, but the other one, that's the male herbalist in South Africa. This is a guy in Kyalisha, which is a kind of little suburb. They call it the ghetto kind of thing, township outside of Cape Town. And I did an apprentice with him when I was a Fulbright scholar in South Africa. And I got to, instead of saying CVS, it says Indaba Herbal Chemist, and it's two dried baby crocodiles facing each other on the little wooden signboard. You walk in the pharmacy, it's all the dried bamboo skeletons hanging up. And then people are coming there like going, I need 16 ostrich beaks, uh,
Ostrich
5
beaks.
alligator teeth. Do you have any snake skin?
Oh my gosh.
No, not that kind, the one they walk out of. Those, I want to make a powder. And I'm over there filling the orders. I'm over there like being the apprentice to now a girl from Compton going to work somewhere where people are coming in asking for these vital essences from the animal life and any cow gallbladders. Oh, they're on the left. Look underneath in that bin. And you just and so I've had these like experiences and I just was able to interact with people. I interacted with a woman who lived under the water for 4 years, walked out the water, took up her life, became a clinical psychologist, and is helping young people in the inner cities of Soweto and these places. And these people are from these other, what people will call otherworldly African belief life magic, like the women that used to be in my community. That if you would get, if a person got burned real badly, they could go to this woman's house because she knew how to talk the fire out of the body. Where they do that?
Right.
This ain't
Yeah.
nothing that you see on TV. They didn't have a TV show about it. They didn't make a movie about it. But these are real people, people that know how to pray. That, like Kendrick Lamar say, ain't nobody, all my grandmama's dead, ain't nobody praying for me. That these people were trained in the art of prayer and prescription to help you reach your potential beyond what a doctor, a medical doctor could tell you about your life and what it could be. So in my mirror work, I can't get involved in like an ego from somebody else saying I'm phenomenal because I'm in the mirror saying, you inspire me. Coco, you inspire me. You're my greatest inspiration. You're much more than gold. You're much more than anything. You inspire me. So outside things like external things, one day the crowd's with you, the next day they got a pitchfork and they're riding you out of town like you Frankenstein set the little old man on fire in the cabin. So it's all a perspective, like how they can cancel you.
Right.
Yeah. Like everybody used to be down with Drake. I mean, I didn't say Drake, I meant Diddy. I mean, oh no. Anyway, they used to be down with you. And then like Lauren says, Wayman say, I used to, now I don't love you. I used to. Remember my first husband, Mr. Bye-Bye.
Indifference, right.
Mr. Beat It Benny. Okay.
Okay, so let's do this. To bring it full circle, we started off you telling me about your followers and how you told them to look in the mirror and sing the song to themselves. And then I come on here and I tell you looking at you is like looking at my future self.
Wow, you want to be that wild and free?
I do.
Woo! So put on a helmet. Okay.
Yes. So I want you to tell me, as if you're talking to your 27-year-old self, some lessons to take away in order to get this phenomenal.
Okay. By the time I was 27, I had lived in Senegal, Liberia, had traveled to Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire. I'm only naming the African places because those are the ones important to me. And I had been all of these places, seeing all of these situations. The thing that I always paid attention to in every place when I was 27 and younger is how African people called spirit forth, summoned spirit, conjured spirit, learn how to throw star arrows, learn how to roll around on the beach and get the power where the wave laps up to the water, where rivers meet edges of forests and the world is alive. So I had just been, I was like, are you locked in? Are you my friend? Now step this way, step that way. They not like us. So I think my whole theme is that the differentiation of myself is not, I'm not unlike the tree. I'm not unlike the mountain. I'm not unlike the river. When I had some health challenges a couple of years ago, I knew from my experiences by the time I was 27, I had better get to the water's edge. I'd better keep my head to the sky for the clouds to tell me why. I'd have to rely on every piece of information encoded in every song given as testimony and attestation to the power of God, the power of nature. So unlike, it's like if I said I didn't ever think in my mind that I would be the most beautiful girl in the room, but I always knew certainly I'd be the most interesting.
In both. How about both?
Well, but it would be like one of my Iris Apfel, who loved to style, and she was just a style icon. She used to say, I know I wouldn't be the prettiest, but I'd be the most stylish. But I would be the one in the room that would be reading the entire room and checking out everything and being consciously aware of my surroundings. And I think that's my military training too, because in the military, we have to line the shoes up underneath the bed in an order, and they end up with your shower shoes. Your things have to be in the closet like this. Your socks have to be folded, smile up to the drill sergeant for inspection. Your boots, you'd have to see your face in the mirror. You'd have to be able to break down your M16 in so many seconds, clean it, put it back together, aim, fire, shoot, on the ready. That's why all us Vietnam era veterans, our shoulders are blown out. Rotator cuffs from the kick. Ain't nothing kick like an M16. You take your whole body back. So you want to aim straight so you don't go up. Well, anyway, you got to have some lived experience. You got to be in all kinds of Debbie dangers. Like, it's a dangerous world out there. But if I could tell you the best advice, control your tongue and your language. Say what you need to say, who you need to say it to. Trespass language. I love Morrison because she has the trespass of language. She has a great vocabulary, but she could say motherfucker with the best.
My favorite quote by her, if you surrender to the air, you could ride
fly.
it.
You can ride it.
That was on my graduation cap.
Oh, and my two favorite quotes from that same novel, Song of Solomon, which we'll begin discussing on October 24th at my literary salon, is two. There's two quotes. One is, they're both by Pilate. One is, I wish I could have knowed more people. I could have loved more people. So it speaks about the power of love and empathy for all. And then my other quote was, if you want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down. So that
true.
part right there.
I love that.
Like, you could leave chick and chow and chihuahua.
Okay.
You can leave it all and just be like, I'm going to be like on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Cherie by Cherie. Who gonna check me, boo?
Right.
Who gonna check me, boo? Who? My mama, my daddy, Lawrence J. Evans, also known as Abasanti Shabaka, rest in peace, is not here. My mother, Marcelite Marie Teresa Landry Evans, is no longer here.
Who gonna check you?
Who gonna check me, boo? So that's what I would tell your 27-year-old self,
appreciate
because you at Howard, and you know Howard, they are big sister and they legacy, but sometimes some of the things they do, they not the sharpest knives in the drawer, sharpest tacks in the box, most colorful crayon in the set. They could be doing things that are anti-legacy. You know, like the time when they only didn't have any Black people from America in the medical school, and there were only Asians and other people born elsewhere, like that.
We got
And then
some
nobody,
work to do.
and yeah, and nobody was calling them on it, but I was calling them on it. I was like, come on now, come on. We need some people to come to our communities and be physicians. Stop playing. So now they've gotten better. Because one of our good friends who had to end up going to Meharry after she graduated, undergraduate from Howard, she had to end up going to Meharry. Yeah, because of the policies that were in place like 15 years ago.
Howard.
Where they didn't have the people. They didn't have the people in place to say, be like Erykah Badu. That's not science.
Listen, I could sit and listen to you.
Oh, sure
share
you could, but it's
stories
time to
and
go.
talk. No, but I know you do offerings, so I wanted to offer you these flowers.
And they're pink.
Oh yeah.
It's okay.
We can take.
No, it's fine. No, it's my legacy. I have a little girl that comes and to my salon and helps me. In fact, it's Tuesday. She helps me, and she loves pink, and she's always dressed in all pink. And she comes to help me sort the beads in my shop. And she goes, oh, look at the pink beads. They're so beautiful. Look at them. And she's putting them in the jar of all pink. And she doesn't know that once she gets all of the pink ones that she is gravitating for, that I'm going to have her. She makes jewelry to make her as many pink jewelries as she likes as a gift.
That is sweet of you.
Yeah, it is.
That is so sweet.
Because even there's some AKAs that I know, and I can do some pink and green situations.
Yeah,
you know?
we're going to need them in January.
I should have known.
No, not me.
Okay. Well, you know, Miss Morrison's an AKA.
Yes.
And my husband's an alpha. So I always said if I was going to start gang banging, if somebody was going to jump me in, if I'm going to get jumped in, I'll get jumped in by the AKAs. Certainly, I have that look.
You do. And thank you so much. Truly, I am honored that you're
thank
here
you so
today
much,
and that you came
Sommer
from
Hill.
Baltimore to chat with me. It means a lot, truly.
Yeah.
And I hope we can keep this conversation going.
Oh, why not? You're my new best friend.
Yeah, don't say that. Don't
no,
say
I am.
that.
How many best friends do I get every time, baby?
I sign up. Thank you so much.
Summertime.